Hey, Chris,
Yeah, Fred.
what's a Mason?
That's a really good question, Fred.
You've reached the internet's home for all things Masonry. Join Chris and I as we plumb the depths of our ancient craft. From the common gavel to the trowel, nothing is off the table. So grab your tools and let's get to work. This is On the Level. Well, once again, my brother Chris, we are back.
Yeah! Oh, sorry if I woke you up there.
The meters went all the way to
Woo!
11 on that one. Wow.
We
wow.
are back, baby.
I love it. I love it. Now, first and foremost, I must explain to the audience and to you, my brother, my voice is not 100%. I'm not sure what happened. I've been doing a little bit of holistic cleansing. I've been doing some
poopies?
Some lotion. No. This is more of a lung and sinus cleansing using milk thistle extract and a couple of other things to cleanse out. Anyway, you know me. I'm a bit of a health nut. So
there's an episode of Friends where Phoebe gets a horrible cold and she can finally sing.
Oh, is that
Have you
right?
Seen that one?
No.
She sounds just like you, and she gets on the mic and it's all raspy and like, and she can't sing for crap. So when she gets better, no one likes her singing again. So she's constantly trying to get sick. She's like, "Let me lick that off the floor." Maybe you should try singing for us.
No.
I keep trying, guys. He just won't take the bait.
Someday I do sing and I do play guitar, but not here and certainly not now.
Oh, you will.
But I'm using my voice.
You got the
New
Phoebe
York
voice.
today. Hey.
Sound like a ruffian.
I sound like a ruffian. That's right. Hey. So anyway, my apologies. I'll do the best I can. I'm going to keep the tones low and slow, and that
I'll
way
try
I
to
won't
keep
crack.
it high to counteract, baby.
Yeah. No cracking voices today. Well, brother, we're receiving lots of cards and letters. That's a euphemism for emails.
I haven't seen a card.
I haven't seen a card or a letter in 20 years. And I'm really thankful for it. I was going through a couple of them. We are definitely going to do a segment in the new season where we read a couple of comments and emails and kind of answer them. Good, bad, or indifferent. The negative ones will always go first because we want your feedback, and we are not afraid of anything negative or disagreements as long as they're presented with gentleness and respect.
We get it sometimes.
Yeah. But we also will read the encouraging ones because there's lots of them. And again, overwhelmingly, people are telling us the esoteric teachings are what you guys want. And it's great for us to kind of frame the show around those teachings. It really helps me. And I think we could just go deeper and deeper, man. It's an endless pool of information out there.
It
So
really
we'll just keep that, build the show around that.
We have to throw some surprises in. We can't let them just think they know who we are all the time. There has to be an element of mystery and surprise always.
An element of mystery and danger.
What might they say? What the heck might they be talking about? That's what you got to, I wonder.
Yes.
Remember that one time they got arrested on the air or whatever crazy stuff was going to happen?
For stealing the statue of Bob's Big Boy.
Oh.
And the people out there probably don't know where Bob's Big Boy is a restaurant in Southern California.
Is it a burger place?
No, it's a sit-down restaurant, and there's a famous little cartoon character statue that's out front of it. It's a little boy holding a plate above, like a waiter with a hamburger on it.
So I believe there was an Austin Power movie.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
The big boy was like a spaceship or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, these two DJs, Mark and Brian on KLOS Los Angeles, stole one and tried to put it on top of the Capitol Records building. And they got arrested, and they turned it into a whole show.
Oh, my God.
And it was hilarious, man. Those two, when it came to on-air DJ antics, they were the OGs, man. Those guys were nuts.
I don't know if I'd steal something for the show, but...
No, we probably won't be stealing statues.
I'll drive the car if you feel so inclined.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's Masonic, brother. I'm just saying.
No, it's not.
Theft and vandalism, probably not going to be our way.
I'd have to say you're right. Yeah, you know, I'm fresh off of 6 hours sleep because last night I got invited to Phoenix Lodge to do senior deacon in the fellowcraft lecture.
My apologies, gentlemen. I did not make that.
Oh, man. They got special dispensation to do the entire degree by candlelight. So they probably had, I would guess, close to 100 tiny little candles all over the lodge. And then I brought my space projector, and the whole ceiling was projecting space with the candlelights everywhere.
You're kidding me.
And they had lanterns. So all the officers had lanterns, and whenever we walked, we'd hold the lantern out in front of us. And they did this cool little bit. It's not part of the ritual, but they got dispensation from the Grand Lodge to do it, where they set the lodge at ease. So it's open at that point. You can do whatever. It's not necessarily part of the ritual.
Right.
You're not changing anything. And we all did it like a procession inside the lodge room with our lanterns and took our stations. And the master comes up and holds the light as he goes around the whole lodge to check each officer and make sure he knows who they are. And then he sits down. It was well done.
Who was Worshipful Master?
Worshipful Roland Yates.
Wow. How cool was that?
It was a past master's degree, so they had all their big shots out there.
I don't know how I missed that.
It was I'm sorry you missed it. I'm sure you had fun.
No, it's my fault. I mean, it's it's on the calendar out there. I mean, the information is available. I just don't. Had I known, I certainly would have been there.
See, Fred is too big of a celebrity. His calendar is overloaded now with Masonic things. Right. He doesn't know what to do, where to go. He needs we're going to hire a handler to just take him places and give him cue cards and be like, just go up there and say that. All right, now get in the car. We got to go to the next place.
That's right. A personal assistant. That's right.
A handler.
A handler. Oh, is that what we call them now? A handler. That person's going to have their hands full. No, last night was my one of my 4 sons' birthday. And yes, 36.
Wow.
And so we went over to the shrine, had a couple of premium cigars and some premium whiskeys, and didn't realize it was Thursday night. And at the shrine, they have the Queen of Hearts drawing that they do there. And the place was packed. There had to be 200 people there. I mean, there was no room at the inn. I mean, it was absolutely packed. And it was a great time, man. I really like it. It's really cool over there, man. They're doing a great job. I hope, for those of you listening, I hope you've got a really active shrine in your area, because it's indispensable, man, for gathering. And ours, they built a giant tiki hut. Yeah. Of course, this is Florida, so there's a tiki hut on every corner right next to the Starbucks. But they built a big tiki hut. They've got a restaurant. It's got pretty good food, and it's just a well-established location. It's been there since I think 81, if I'm not mistaken, 1980. I think it was built. Been there a long time.
And what's incredible about it is they had been losing lots of money.
Yeah,
there
was some bad times.
And I think they were on the verge of considering selling that building, which is just in a great location in Sarasota. And, the last couple years, the potentates and their officers have really, they had the idea for the Tiki Hut to try to pick up, they basically got a restaurant bar in order to try to help pay the bills, because the dudes just weren't cutting it anymore, not even close. And they were losing money on that, too. But they made a smart decision of hiring an actual restaurateur.
Shout out to Tommy.
A multi-year agreement, and over the last 2 years, they have 100% 180 turned that thing around. I think they're actually making money.
They are making money. That is correct. Yeah,
it's just popping, and the shrine itself is getting more involved in our district.
Yep,
they're hosting our Grandmasters visits. They work with the Master Mason Association to arrange that. So I'm just so excited to be active in Masonry while all this is happening.
I agree.
It's great times here in town.
It's a good time to be a Mason, man. Yeah. And I was able to, as I was sitting there, one of my son's buddies who came by, a guy from Jersey, another fellow guy from Jersey. But anyway, this pretty young kid, he saw my ring, and he asked me. He said, "So are you a Mason?" And I said, "Yeah." And I'm also a Shriner. And he's like, "Wow." So I've been wanting to get into Masonry. And I was like, "Really?" So he's coming down to the next open house. We're gonna sit and talk a little bit and do a little bit of stuff. And what I didn't do, and what my two sons that live here in Sarasota, both of them, are in their mid-30s, and I don't say They know I'm a Mason. They know how much I love it and enjoy it. They know I'm a Shriner, but I've said nothing.
Yeah.
By way of recruitment. But they keep asking these intuitive little questions here and there. So I'm just throwing the line out.
Yeah.
And just slowly dragging it back, So hopefully they're gonna pop. I would say my one son Troy would probably want to become a Mason before my other son Eric would, but we'll see. I said that on air to see how well I know my
Do
kids.
they listen?
We'll see how it goes. They both listen.
Okay.
Yep, they're both out there listening.
If they're listening, they'll definitely become Masons.
Yeah,
this will hook them.
Let me rephrase that. They both tell me they listen. So I guess we'll find out. If they listen, then they'll hear this, and they'll call me up and say, "Hey, man, I listen."
No one in my family listens. Not my wife, not my kids, nobody.
Yeah, my wife listens. If I tell her, "Hey, you should listen to this particular one," then she'll listen. But as regularly, she does not listen. Although she has, in fact, she's a subscriber to it, but doesn't necessarily, listen to all of it, which is fine. Hey, we're growing. I mean, what are we now at 6,500 downloads, close to something like that, and it's growing more and more. And the YouTube channel's beginning to get subscribers as well. So that's pretty exciting. And again, we keep pounding it, but it's true. We are going to do more in next season. We've got some new technology that we purchased that we're going to use, and the advertisements that you guys hear in the middle of our show, that's actually paying us to do the show. So some of the costs that we've been footing have been wiped out, which is nice. So we're not paying any money to do this, which has always been the goal. We're not trying to make money on it, but we don't want to have to shell money out every week either, because it can get very expensive.
Oh,
yeah. So that's kind of an update by way of update.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention that we did get some comments about the last podcast, and I just want to briefly mention, and I'm not going to mention who gave us I'm not gonna, who it was, but the comment was about the ruffians. And this person's disagreement is that we're not born as ruffians.
This is somebody that likes to argue semantics.
Agreed.
So
he does. He gets hung
there.
up on words. That's correct.
I don't know.
He's a good brother, and we love him. But
sure. And it's always good because you get the more somebody questions things or even disagrees, the more conversation has to happen around the topic. So who's winning? Everybody.
Everybody's winning. That's
as long as you keep it clean above the board and don't insult each other, it's awesome.
And when I go back and I think about my comments about being, that the ruffian is in all of us. For me, and I've said this before, everybody knows this, that comes from my worldview, which is I am a Christian. And from a Christian perspective, we hold to a doctrine of, that original sin. Yes, I said it out loud. And we hold to that doctrine. So the ruffian in my faith tradition represents that man, that old man that I was born with, the one who has to be taught to do right. I have to be taught to do right. It doesn't come natural to me. There is outside influences that come to me and teach me right and wrong. There is a law to be followed. There is a thing to, there is morality. There is right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And we don't by nature follow it. Well, those comments about the ruffians, that came out of my worldview. You may have a different worldview out there. And we've been very big in this podcast about the fact that Masonry is not a religion, but it is made up of religious people who bring their faith traditions to it. And Masonry is a framework that should, when understood correctly, send you back to your faith tradition as a better man, as a smarter man, as a more open man. So it has for me. I'm certainly digging deeper into my relationship with my church and my faith, and it's my desire to do what is right. Masonry is a lot of things, but one thing it certainly is it is a system of morality, man. It really is. It wants us to live good lives, and there is a standard to be lived,
Sure.
I mean, right? So
it's a universal human standard of morality. It's not tied to a specific faith, and that's one of the things I love about it, because we even like you represent a huge part of, I think, Florida Masonry. I think the majority of people have a similar background to yours.
Correct.
Spiritually.
Correct. That's right. Yeah, very much so.
Now, I'm probably in the second biggest group, which is I'm not declared. I don't go to a church. I don't necessarily, pray to Jesus or any other named, person of a faith. I'm more general. I take a general approach to this and say, I believe there's a God, and respect that. And I'm always trying to do the same thing you are, like get closer to that relationship and understand better, but not tied to the same doctrines you are. And we're on the same journey. We're doing
correct.
the same things, and we're improving ourselves in the same way, even
through
though we
Masonry.
don't have exactly the same path spiritually. And I think that's awesome, because we sit with brothers who are Muslims.
Yep.
And pagan, and probably all kinds of other things out there that I'm not so good with labels these days. There's a lot of them, and I can't keep up with all of them.
Right, yeah.
I try to respect everybody's views, though.
Yeah, that's right. Buddhists and Muslims and people who just have made a profession to deity. I don't know. I guess that would be agnostic, right? I don't know.
Or
I'm not sure, but I believe there is a God, but I have no idea where to go or what to do.
Go. Yeah,
I'm open, which is okay. It's all okay. Here's my thing is
this might help them even find their path, because you talk to so many different people. Something might trigger you and be like, "That's really interesting. Can I come to your church, or can I come to your temple?"
Yeah, that's right. My faith requires me to be ready to give an answer to anyone who asks me for the hope that lies within me. And I am prepared. I know what I believe, and I know why I believe it. If somebody asks me about my faith because they're interested in it, I can sit down with them over coffee and I can explain it to them. I'm commanded to be ready at all times to do that, and I am. The beauty about Masonry is I get to sit down with men from all different persuasions, and together we have a common goal, which is to better ourselves in our community, our families, and our lives. And if that ever comes up, I'm prepared to talk. But I'm not required within the walls and halls of Masonry to beat people over the head with my particular faith tradition. Everybody knows where I stand. Everybody knows what I believe. If you don't know what I believe, just dig out the Westminster Confession of Faith and read it. That's what I believe. I mean, it's there. But the beauty, I don't know how we got off on this. The beauty, in my opinion, of Masonry is that all faiths, I mean, so much so, if you think about the founding of this country.
Yeah.
And the different faiths and non-faiths of men that came together to build the founding of this nation was built in the lodges, in the churches and the lodges of the United States, of early America. It's where it all came from.
Yeah.
That you can't bring every single community together within a certain denominated church. It doesn't. It maybe it could work, but I've just never seen it work. But you can bring a vast amount of people from different faith traditions from all over the world together within a lodge, and you can get something done, and like the building and framing of a nation based on a constitutional republic, which required a lot of wisdom, to put together. It was based on, we won't go into all what it was based on, but
it's like a marriage. These people had seen multiple forms of government. They'd seen a government controlled by a person, a sectarian person,
right? Yep.
A family dynasty. They'd seen governments controlled by religious leadership. They'd seen it all at that point, and I look at it as they had an opportunity to start fresh. So they looked at all of the experiences they had and said, you know what, this is probably the way to go based on all these mistakes we've seen.
Right.
This seems like the best chance for survival of a new country.
It was absolute genius what they did. They formed a system of checks and balances within three branches of a government system they knew was going to become an absolute leviathan, and based on it was based on a lot of the ancient Greek writings about democracy. Mm-hmm. But we don't have a pure democracy. We have a constitutional republic, which is based on unchanging doctrines or unchanging written laws and concepts that, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, on and on, all the amendments and stuff. Those don't change. Men change. We know King George changed, right? That's why we fought the Revolutionary War, because he changed. He did not follow through with the commitments he made. He's a king. He has the right to do that. We didn't want that. They formed a different idea. That idea was based on individual freedom and liberty, and that your rights are granted to you by God, not by another man, just because he has the title of a government potentate. And that concept and all of the details of how they framed it, how they put it together, they argued it out, they hammered it out, was genius. It's absolute genius. And it lasted, in my opinion, a good 150 to almost 200 years. I don't think we have that form of government currently.
No,
and I think we're probably in for a wild ride over the next decade to see where it plays out. Maybe it'll go back to where it was. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But the point that I was making is valid. The genius of the concept of the Constitution of the United States was in fact hammered out by Masons, man, in the Masonic lodges. It's just true. You can't deny it.
So this started because you were talking about the fact that people can be born ruffians, or that we have ruffians.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I believe that. Thank you.
Yeah.
We talked about that before we went on air. Yes, thank you. I'm a little slow today.
It's all right.
But yeah, so
the argument was the argument against what was being said on the show was that it's not true. You can't. Ruffian never gets the word. A ruffian will never be in control of anything, including yourself. But that you're saying that wasn't really the point. Like if you listen to what was being said, or if you listen to the show, the idea of it was not so specifically the ruffians as pertaining to the ritual. Like it's not in the story. Yeah, it's true. Hypothetically, though, for the purposes of trying to use alliteration to convey a concept or idea, you said the aspects of the ruffians are inside of us all.
Right.
Like the bad things, the devil on your shoulder, the person who's giving you bad ideas, or that leech that feeds you that negative thought all day. Whenever you got to do something, it's telling you you're going to fail. This is going to suck. Like that's the ruffian you were referencing, I think.
Yeah, and if you doubt it, just go downstairs to where your toddlers are, and before they can even talk, look at the way they treat each other, and look at how they. No one has to
feral animals.
Well, no one has to teach them to be selfish.
No
one has to teach them, to be all about themselves. And if you don't, there's a great analogy. If you a newborn baby, you hold that child in your arms, and he's laughing and giggling, and he sees the necklace on your neck, and he wants to grab for it, and you push his hand away, and he gets all red in the face, and he tries again, and he's angry, and he starts to cry, and his face gets red, and his hands clench. Well, transpose that darling little baby to a 250-pound man with the same intellect as that baby. That 250-pound man will kill you for that necklace. He will kill you. It's in him, and it's there. It's absolutely there. So that's my view, my worldview. That's a good analogy to explain my worldview. It's in us. That aspect is in us. That's why Masonry is indispensable, said George Washington, for the raising of young men. It is absolutely indispensable for teaching young men and women, but we're a fraternity, for teaching any human being, any human society, that to get along in this world as a society of people who want to be productive and safe and harmonious and find joy and happiness, the rules and laws instituted by men for the benefit of men are indispensable. We have to teach them. We have to learn them. Masonry does a good job of that.
We got to get some more of our government leadership into Masonry. Let's get started on that, everybody.
Yes. That would not be a bad thing.
They could use this.
That would not be a bad thing. All of them. Especially the Illuminati guys. Shout out to the Illuminati guys.
Yeah,
you guys got all the money, man.
Appreciate stealing my images and using them so that you can make money from
yes.
unsuspecting people.
Yes.
You're lovely.
I love those guys, Illuminati.
Hey.
What?
What are we talking about today,
I have
Fred?
no idea. Well, actually, we're going to go to what we always talk about eventually.
Out of the
peanut butter. The peanut butter, yeah. Peanut butter and jelly on a bagel.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Oh, that just gives me a sugar buzz like off the chart. Anyway, yeah, right. We are just rabbit trails after rabbit trail, and the rabbit trails are getting more absurd. So we just talked about bagels, peanut butter, and
God.
With worldviews and all of that, and we ended on peanut butter.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hope you're.
So we are in the Mentor's Manual, the revised 2008 GL 217. This manual is also indispensable if you want to understand the basics of our craft. You need to get this out, dust it off. And begin to make notes. If you can see mine is riddled with notes and highlights all through it. Madness. Because we must know what we believe and we must know why we believe it. And the only way you're going to do that is by taking time to study it on your own, without social media, without YouTube. Actually read the material and digest it into your own life. Take what works and get rid of what doesn't, So anyway, we are on, what is it, 5.5?
5.22.
5.22, thank you, brother. That's low 12.
Yes.
Low 12. I'm going to read from it, as we do, and then we'll just have a little conversation about it. And I know everybody on the radio right now is probably like, hurry up, my God. 25 minutes of this. You're killing us. All right.
You can fast forward.
Yeah, right, yeah. But no, don't fast forward. Come on,
don't.
Man.
Robbing yourself.
Clever banter.
Gems.
Gee. All right. Low 12, 5.22 on page 24 of the Mentor's Manual. The number 12 in ancient symbolism denotes completion. Whether this meaning arose from the 12 signs of the zodiac or because the most stable geometric figure, the cube, has 12 distinct edges is not known. The number 12 did denote a thing fulfilled and was, therefore, an emblem of human life. High 12 denoted noon, when the sun was at its zenith, while low 12 denotes midnight, the blackest of the night. Just as 13, an evil omen, follows 12, so does death follow life. Therefore, the solemn stroke of 12 marked the completion of human existence in this life and the coming of death. Masonically, therefore, low 12 is a symbol of death. I mean, that is a great statement. That is a good statement, man.
Yeah, I mean,
well.
We're talking about this because it's part of our ritual. It's said in the ritual at a certain point, and then later in the lecture, it's explained that low 12 means midnight. But that all happens so fast, people probably don't realize that they get this information. So I'm so glad that they put this in the Mentor's Manual. It's just a little paragraph, but it's something to think about. They also, there's so many symbols that we talk about in the Master Mason degree. One of them is the hourglass, which we explain in the lecture is a symbol of human life. And now we're saying that low 12 and time in general is an emblem of human life.
Right.
It's reinforcing what we talk about in the lecture. And we also talk about high 12.
Right.
So does that make high 12 the opposite of low 12? Does that mean high 12 signifies life if low 12 signifies death?
High 12, according to this, I believe, says that it signifies completion. Right? The number 12 is a number of completion. High 12 denotes noon, when the sun was at its zenith. Enith went home. While low 12 denotes. So it doesn't really get too much.
No,
number 12 did denote a thing fulfilled and was therefore an emblem of human life. So,
yeah.
So high 12 is an emblem of human life, not necessarily the beginning of life, but an emblem of life.
Yeah.
Low 12 is, and that's what this is discussing. Low 12 is the end of that life. It denotes the ultimate end, which we will all meet. And Masonry does a good job of forcing us to face our own mortality.
Yes.
That's why the people don't understand Masonry. They see skulls and they see all this stuff and they think it's some nefarious thing that we're doing. But what we're doing is we are facing our own mortality. What was the one thing that they outlawed in the ritual?
Coffin. Yeah.
The coffin and the mirror reflective.
The room of reflection, or the
Sorry, I totally.
mirror.
The mirror reflective.
Yeah. Yeah. The mirror reflective. 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 Yeah. The mirror I can't recall the
Right.
name, but you know.
Somebody out there is shouting it. Email us, please.
Yeah, Chamber of Reflection.
Chamber of Reflection. I am so sad that is no longer part of the ritual. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Can we explain, since it's no longer part of the ritual, can we say what it is?
Yeah.
What it was?
Absolutely. The Chamber of Reflection was before the ritual, they would put the potential candidate in a room by himself in the dark, and the only light would be a candle on a table. On that table would be a mirror so that the candidate could see himself, and there would also be a skull and crossbones at the foot of the mirror. So for about 20 to 30 minutes, the candidate was left to look at the remnants of the dead body and see his own reflection.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
I
how
feel
much
like I
more
need to go.
obvious that could be.
I need to go home and do that like at least once a week, man.
I mean, that'll put you in a state, I think, of more thinking about your own mortality. You see the skull of a dead person and you see your own face.
Right. So what's the goal? Why do that?
I think it's the purpose is to put you in a time, because it's the ritual says this isn't meant to be frivolous or
Right.
It's not meant to be unseemly. It's not meant to be hazing. But the nature of people is they live their lives. They come to a degree, and they're having some fun. They're making some jokes. And the candidate it's not impressed so fully on the candidate, the seriousness of what he's
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Of what the work he's about to undergo. So in my opinion, the removal of this from the ritual is a detriment to the fraternity as a whole, because we're not giving them proper time to, it's a meditative state
Absolutely.
that you're putting them into. They're able to settle themselves, calm themselves. They're with their own thoughts, and it's putting them into a place of thinking about their own mortality. That's a good point to start from.
Absolutely. I think so. Yeah. To start anything from.
But what we do is we shove them in a room, we say, change your clothes, we say a few words, and then we do the ritual. And they didn't
Right.
have time to spiritually, mentally prepare themselves. So maybe we need to think of another way that we can do this in our lodge that doesn't violate rules of Grand Lodge, but still allows us to get them to a state where they're going to have a better experience.
I saw a painting, and I don't know if we could get it, but it was a painting of the mirror with the skull and the crossbones, and a candle in front of it, and there was no face of reflection, but it was a picture of what it would look like.
Yeah, so
maybe we should hang that in the outer room.
Oh, the picture, not the actual thing, because you can have art, right?
Right, you can have art on the wall,
Yeah.
right, and then at least, in the pre-initiate, before, when you're talking to them, you can bring that moment back to seriousness. I get very upset with brothers who are in that room, with candidates who are cutting up.
Yeah, and it's all the time. You see it in every lodge.
And as the Tyler man, I put an end to it almost immediately.
Good.
I really don't care.
Good.
It's like, knock it off. Let's stop. I want them to have what I didn't get that when
Most people didn't. I didn't either.
Right. Yeah. So, and this, if we don't, for goodness sakes, guys, if we don't take this seriously, why should anybody else? Right.
Yeah.
Why should anyone else take Masonry seriously if we don't? And I think, I think there are those above us, and in the Grand Line too. I think there is a desire that comes down to us from Grand Lodge to say, hey, take this more seriously. I mean,
yes.
They want us to, and that's one of the reasons why I know it's not popular, but that dress code that came down, bringing us back to, hey, you're not allowed to wear shorts in here, man. You need to wear proper attire.
What Fred's speaking about is in Florida, our Grandmaster put a ruling decision out.
Yes, he did.
That in the state of Florida, we're going to have a minimum expectation for people that come to stated and call communications, and that minimum, as I understood, he wrote it, is slacks and a dress shirt and tie with a jacket, or a lodge polo shirt.
Right.
That's the minimum expectation now in Florida. I've been in lodges, and I've seen overalls, I've seen T-shirts, I've seen shorts, I've seen Crocs.
Right, yeah.
So I get it. I think I get why they're doing it. I don't think that it's going to help turnout at lodges, but I think this might be a signal from our Grand Lodge that they don't care as much about that as they do about people taking the work seriously and taking themselves seriously.
And I don't know, I'm really not sure how I feel about that. I want them to take the work seriously. I agree. I think that men, if presented correctly, good men are always going to step up. They're always going to step up and do what is right and required of them. Look, we're Masons, man.
Let's hope so.
If Grand Lodge requires this of us, then we need to do it.
Right.
We have to do it. Even if we don't agree with it,
right.
We should do it to show that we are not hypocritical Masons, but we're true Masons, man. We're obedient to the line.
You do it, and if you disagree with it, you get some other people that agree with you, and you write some legislation, and you submit it, and you go talk about it, and you get it passed.
And everyone would benefit from that action. Everyone would be a better man because of it, because the system is set up in such a way where if you felt strongly about it and you were able to affect that kind of change, think about the education you would get along the way, and the men that you would meet, and the hearts and minds you would change and educate and inform, including your own, along the way, man. I mean, that's just what it's all about.
Even if it doesn't pass, try again, reword it, figure out what people didn't like. Just keep moving forward with, this is how you improve the fraternity, is by trying to help pass laws that are going to improve it. And it survives based on people doing that. And this is how we adapt over time.
Speaking of the number 12.
Low 12. I guess we got that one beaten down, huh?
We beat that one down. But I like the reference to the number 13. Just as the number 13, an evil omen, follows 12, so does death follow life. I love that statement. I think it's poetic. It's profound.
I was thinking that about when you were talking. This is the connected pieces of Freemasonry boggle the mind. The genius of this system.
Right.
So we're talking about the entered apprentice. You're newborn, the fellow craft. You're now an adult in middle age and gaining education. And in the Master Mason degree here, we talk about your eyesight failing, your teeth falling out, your body failing, desire going away, and your eventual death. And so we say low 12 is the culmination of that. Your which is the most solemn event in a man's life, is his death.
Right.
And we should always hold that moment of a person's life in reverence, right? It's important. And now high 12, being the opposite of that, we reference high 12 when we go out of working to refreshment. And so maybe, I guess, that could be taken to symbolize the turning point in a man's life where he's done enough work to warrant some rest. And that's a part, the season of his life where he's reached the apex, and now he's going to start relaxing. And the rest of that Master Mason degree picks up from that point where it's about failing and deterioration and eventually death.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful symbolism.
Right. It absolutely is. The next one, and I'm reading this cold, so I have not, this particular one I have not read through.
With a cold.
With a cold. So the 5 points of fellowship, and I'm interested to see how this words out, because I don't think we can. There's not a lot here we can talk about. So let's try it.
Not particulars.
This is this is a published work. So what I'm going to read you is legal for me to read out loud. Anyone can read it. It's online. It's published. So I'm going to do that now. The 5 points of fellowship. These 5 points are symbolized by the pentalpha. Thank you. By the pentalpha, or 5-pointed star. I guess they don't want to call it a pentagram, right?
They reference it in here.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Symbolized by the panthella, the pentalpha, or 5-pointed star. The connection of this geographical figure with the builder's art is not readily apparent. Research has shown that it was used extensively in determining some of the designs for the splendid castles and cathedrals of medieval times. In the center of the penfella, as often used by Masons, is usually seen 2 clasped hands. These hands were the ancient symbol of the god of Fidus. The entire symbol signifies to the Mason that both fidelity and readiness to aid each other are to be found in the order. Thus, the star becomes the symbol of true brotherhood. The 5 points of fellowship becomes a true sign of brotherhood.
Here's a couple things on that.
Sorry for butchering that. I'll try to read it again, but
Pentalpha.
Pentalpha.
Never heard of that. So the 5 points of fellowship, we're told in the lecture, are as secret as any of the ceremonies of this degree.
Right.
So that right there tells us we're not going to talk about
We're not
the
going to say what
details
they
of
are.
what those are.
Correct.
But they are important, very important to Freemasonry. And you see that it has some... The Grand Lodge of Florida is telling us we've lost the knowledge. We don't really know. And so there's like, we've done some research and this is what it might be related to, right? I'm disappointed because I see a lot of people posting pictures of this online like it's nothing. Masons sharing pictures of diagrams of people in this position. Don't do that. We're told that the 5 points of fellowship are as secret as any of the ceremonies of the Master Mason degree.
Right.
Stop sharing it. It's for us.
It's for us and for us only. That's right.
We don't even know fully why, but it must be important. So this, I think, would be great to do some research on.
Yeah, I agree.
Really good. But the point of the 5 points of fellowship is to teach us how connected we are and how two brothers together sharing everything is really the whole point of Freemasonry.
Right.
I think that's why they're so secret, because it speaks to the heart of who we are supposed to be.
Right.
Every point of the 5 points is specifically telling us how to treat each other.
Right. Yeah, that's
as
right.
Masons.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. And I talk to people that come into Masonry all the time, and one of the main reasons you hear over and over again is because I want fellowship with other men. I don't have any friends. I don't have any connections. And I want to be part of something that's bigger than myself. And that entire concept of fellowship, right? And this is the 5 points of fellowship. It gives us that framework of how and why we are in fellowship and what it means. And you're right. You could study that, and it could go really, really deep. I think that might be something we might want to prepare for the next esoteric discussion group that we have. That would probably be because we could share it in the presence of other Masons in a discussion group, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or do it as education in a stated meeting.
Right. Yeah. Close it up and go through it. I think it would be indispensable.
One more
word
point.
of the day, by the way, indispensable. Third time I used it.
Indispensable. One more point. This is was one sentence in this second paragraph you read. These is talking about two clasped hands, usually shown in the center of a pentalpha.
Right, right.
These hands were the ancient symbols of the god Fides. Now, if you recall, in the Entered Apprentice degree, during the lecture, there is a point where we talk about two clasped hands and what that represents.
Right.
And we say our ancient brethren worship God under the name Fides or fidelity. So that caught my mind because I give these lectures all the time, and I've never really researched even how to pronounce Fides. So I did that. And Fides was the god of trust and good faith in Roman paganism.
Right.
Didn't know that. She was one of the original virtues to be considered an actual religious divinity. Fides is everything that is required for honor and credibility, from fidelity in marriage to contractual arrangements and the obligation soldiers owed to Rome. Fides also means reliability between two parties, which is always reciprocal, and the bedrock of relations between people and their communities. And then it was turned into a Roman deity, and from which we gained the English word fidelity. The Roman deity may have an example in Regulus, who refuses to save himself at the expense of the Republic. The Regulus defied his own best interests for those of his country. This act alone, he acted with Fides, which we say fidelity.
Right, right.
And in the Entered Apprentice degree, we say we worship deity under the name Fides or fidelity. Now in the Master Mason degree, we're relating the two clasped hands in relation to the 5 points of fellowship, which is talking about reliability between two parties.
Right.
And the deity that represented that in Roman times. So when Fred says there's a lot here, there's a lot here.
There's a lot here, and I just love that the symbolism of the female. You know, and of course in Roman paganism, she was an actual deity. And they worshipped these deities. But I think about in the book of Proverbs, the book in the scriptures written by King Solomon, you know, he creates this image of two sisters, the two sisters. I wisdom dwell with my sister prudence. And if you look down through history, all of these imageries, they're always justice, Lady Justice. You know, she's blindfolded.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always these the image is this woman who symbolizes this concept or idea. You know, and that's what I see here. You know, obviously for me, you know, I don't bow down to the deity Fidus at all. You know, but and none of us do.
But recognize that this was an idea that people
absolutely
try to live their lives by at some point,
right? And I think it's just so profound, you know, that the entire symbol signifies to the Mason that both fidelity and readiness to aid each other are to be found in the order. Thus, the star becomes the symbol of true brotherhood, and fidelity, you know, that concept of being completely loyal to your brother's concerns and to his life is where are you going to go and find that today?
Nowhere.
Where are you going out there, bro, to find
Nowhere.
a group of men who have your best interest at heart and are taught to do so along with yourself in an active lodge on a continuing basis? I hear this stuff 3 times a week. When I go, Chris and I go to different degrees, and we watch degrees. Well, Chris participates in them.
You do too.
I do too when he recruits me in, which I'm very thankful for.
We were at a Master Mason degree. Everybody's standing around in the break, and I'm like, "Hey, you got any canvas crew here? Because this guy's got nothing to do." They're like, "Oh my God, thank you, yes." And they snatched him up and put clothes on him and taught him how to do that
Next
immediately.
thing you know, I'm in a robe and I'm a catcher, man. I'm like, "What's a catcher?" It's like, "Oh, a catcher. Yeah, I'm in. Okay, cool."
That's what we do for our brothers.
That's what we do for our brothers. And I'm glad you did it. Because it was so much more meaningful. But
right.
Back to the point and what I love about this, and I think one of the main things of reason why we're seeing Masonry becoming more and more popular and our numbers are growing is because of that reason. The men are looking for other men who have their back, you know, and in Masonry you have that, and it's growing. It's growing. It's getting better. There are people like me who have recently I think I've been here 2.5 years now. Or so, or less, maybe somewhere around there. But people like me came in, and there's a wave of people coming in who want Masonry to go back to the way it was. We want all the rituals to be followed. We want the concepts to be taught, and we want people to take it very, very seriously because we want to put it back to where it was in our culture and community because it's so needed.
This is ironic to me when you say that because I'm a little older in Freemasonry, so I was there when your class was coming through. And a lot of the elders in our lodge hear young guys like from your generation that came through saying,
I'm not young, but
hey,
we get his
but
point.
in Masonry, you're young.
Young in Masonry. Oh, hey,
yeah.
I'm young again.
You are young again. You're yeah, and literally, you're young. The average age you help bring it down. But, you know, where was I going with that?
Sorry, man. I knocked you right off the
Where
podium.
the hell was I going with that?
It'll come back to you.
I know what it was. Yeah. You guys are saying Masonry's changing, right? And for the exact reasons you just explained, changing for the better, going back to the original, being who we're supposed to be is what you're saying when you say Masonry's changing. But what the older guard hears when you say Masonry's changing is, oh God, these guys want to turn us into something that's not Masonic.
Right.
And the irony of it is a lot of the elder guys are so set in their ways that aren't necessarily Masonic. The idea of going back to the true meaning of Masonry would also probably scare them.
Right. Yeah.
Because they like the way they've changed it to be.
Right.
They like where they're at.
Yeah.
But in reality, we all got to fight to go back to the truth and get to the most clear light of what Masonry should be. And the best way we can do that is to live it. If you really, really want to help Masonry become a thing in the world, live it in your life.
Yeah.
At
right.
home.
Yeah.
With your family. At work. Wherever that is, and whatever you do in your life, live it Masonically. Do
Right.
everything you do Masonically. That's the best way you can help the fraternity.
Yeah.
And one more point. You were talking about law. The symbol of law is a woman, right?
Right.
In
yeah.
robes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
and justice. Yeah.
And justice.
Uh-huh.
There's a picture in Wikipedia of Fides on a Pompeian coin. So there's a depiction of what they thought Fides, how they represented her. And she's represented as a young woman crowned with the olive or laurel wreath, holding in her hand a turtle dove in one hand, and fruits or grains or a military ensign and the other. And she's got a white veil. So the representation of Fides on this coin, you wouldn't know the difference between Lady Liberty. It looks,
right.
at first glance exactly like the representation we use of liberty. And, maybe that makes sense. Maybe there's a tie between this Fides and the goddess of liberty that we put all over our laws and buildings today, because we're talking about reliability between two parties.
Right.
And reciprocity of trust.
Reciprocity
and
of
justice
trust.
between us, the relationships of our community.
Yeah. Without which no society can survive. You can't survive without it. Without reliability and trust between parties, everything stops. And that's what's happening now. We're grinding to a halt because nobody can trust anybody, and those who were charged with keeping, the court system is in an absolute mess these days. And the way law is done or not done is just an absolute mess. And without fidelity, without liberty, justice, without all of these representations, you can just see the representation of the statues of the ladies, out there, of fidelity, and you can see Lady Justice, and you can see prudence and wisdom and temperance and all these concepts, and we're turning our back on all of them. And look at what's going on out there.
It's
man.
so bad.
We're suffering, and Masonry is attempting, in my opinion, we are attempting to turn the table back to.
Yes.
Because a country will go the way its young men go. And it's just,
yes.
I know that sounds like a very sexist comment, and maybe you think it is, but it's true. A country will always go the way that its young men go. And our young men are not going in the way of fidelity. They're going in the way of self-doubt and fear, and withdraw. If one word that I could use to explain the young men that are in my life that have no direction is withdraw. They just don't want the hassle of communal life anymore. Look at I was sitting with some young men last night, and they're all single, and the way they talk, it's like, I would love to get in a relationship, but I'm very cautious. They're all so cautious, hands off.
Oh, I'm so surprised by that. It's like, so true. And they're so
true.
cautious.
They're
to get
afraid
involved and connected.
It's no small thing. You could lose everything.
Oh yeah.
As a young man getting into a relationship in our society, and
my son is turned 18, and he's going to college. And I was having a long talk with him. He's staying with me for a couple months before he goes off to college.
That way you can have lots of long talks with him.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Captive audience.
Yeah. Well, he wants to, and he was
good.
telling me, you don't understand, Dad. Like, I am terrified because even if I meet someone and we're having a good time and, we go back and we're having a consensual experience, in the back of my mind, I'm always hoping that this is okay.
Yeah, right.
I'm asking, is it okay? I'm hearing it's okay, but I feel like that could change at any moment.
Because it can.
And he's terrified. Imagine going through life terrified of having an intimate relationship with someone.
Right. No,
because he wants to be a doctor. He's like, I could lose everything if somebody thought that I did something inappropriate. And so he is afraid to have an honest, intimate relationship with someone of his age, as at my age, a child, an adult child, but still, that's no way to go through life. Our society needs to really we need more Masons out there.
Yeah, I agree. It's an absolute jungle out there for the young man, you know. And I tell young men, I told my son Troy, you know, focus on your studies, man. You know, there's plenty of time for all that. Focus on your studies, because I've had that conversation too. My other son Eric is married, and my youngest son Danny is also married. Both of them are happily married. They have children. My one son has 4 children.
Woo,
my other son
taking
Danny,
after daddy.
Shout out to Danny. Let's go, boy. Let's go. I need some grandsons.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Make babies for me.
Make some babies,
guy
boy.
Needs a life. Let him have his life.
But what I told my son Troy is, look, if you're not, you know, all right. So fine. The dating scene is treacherous. It's shark-filled waters. Mm-hmm. You don't want anything to do with it. Fine. Then throw yourself into your studies for a couple 5 years. Make a plan. You know, get out of debt. Save some money. You know, buy a nice car. Whatever it is that you want to do, work on you. Don't get involved in all these crazy relationships. You don't necessarily need it. You won't die. You won't die. You'll probably be a better man for it, and maybe somewhere along the way you'll meet that one woman who's actually the one who's gonna, you know, stay with you for your life. Because like I told him about his mother, you know, his mother was worth waiting for in my life.
Right.
She was worth waiting for, you know.
Right.
And I've been through a lot of hell in those relationships because it is a jungle out there.
Yeah.
But the one is worth it. And any guy out there who has a relationship, a marriage with the one, a woman, knows what I'm talking about. My wife is my very best friend. She is my confidant and always has my back. I always have her. And there's nothing else in the world gifted to us by our Creator than that relationship, and it's worth working towards and waiting for. That's my message today for all the young men listening.
Have some fidelity.
Have some fidelity.
So you see, this is how we get ourselves into trouble. 2 paragraphs in the mentor's manual. Most people would be like, blah, 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 we know about this. We just talked about it for 20 minutes.
Right.
We could go another 30 minutes on
We
this,
could
probably.
go all day on this stuff. Absolutely.
So we have to try to stay. It's just so interesting.
Well, now a lot of the emails that we get are telling us that a lot of these rabbit trails you guys like. That the way Chris and I go down these roads is actually helpful for a lot of people.
That's good, because that's really all you're gonna get.
Because this is it, guys. Yeah, this is how it works.
That's how we got here.
Although I would say that the symposium talk that we did was very structured, went point by point, and I thought it was really good. And although we did find some rabbit trails to enjoy along the way, we did stick on task.
My little gifts to our presentation.
That's right. That's right.
That's all I got.
And I'm excited that it is a possibility that we might be asked to speak at Grand Lodge, just briefly.
I've reached back out to see if he wants that to happen.
I'm down with that, man. Give me the stage, baby. Give me the stage.
I've seen it. Yeah, you'll be crowd surfing out there.
Oh, yeah, man. I will be crowd surfing. Anyways, it would be an honor and a privilege.
Well, my wife told me last night she might not go.
Why?
So, I just got my son's graduating this month, and we did the Key West thing.
Oh, okay.
She has a trip, so it's just a lot.
So she's going to take a break.
Yeah, so I think I might be flying solo out there for the first time.
Wow.
Which means more time for interviews.
More time for interviews. Woohoo, woohoo. Well, there's a side note. Well, we'll miss her for sure. Yeah. We will absolutely miss her. I was kind of looking forward to her being there.
Yeah. We'll hang out.
We'll hang out, and we've got
more work will get done this way.
That's true, and we are going to be very busy because we have an announcement to make, which we're not going to make today, about something we're pretty excited about around here, which we're really going to reveal at Grand Lodge, basically. But
please check us out at Grand Lodge.
Yes,
if you're
please.
A fan of the show, there's going to be some special news for you.
There'll be some special news, and we just want to meet you guys and shake hands, and we want to shake some hands and kiss some babies, man.
Yeah.
Don't be a baby.
Man babies?
Don't be a baby, or you'll have to have a big wet kiss from Chris, which was not a good thing.
I will do it.
He will do it.
I will do it.
Be forewarned. Do we want to go on to the next one? The next one is the lion.
Yes.
The lion of the tribe of Judah. Now this has a lot in there, and I have a little bit of a disagreement, sort of, in
do
here.
You? Well, this is gonna. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this plays out between us. Because I also have some ideas about this.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right. So the lion of the tribe of Judah. The lion, from the earliest times of recorded history, has been a symbol of might and royalty. It was placed on the standard of the tribe of Judah because it was the royal tribe of the Hebrew nation. The kings of Judah were, therefore, called the lion of the tribe of Judah. This was one of the titles of King Solomon. This is the literal meaning of the term, but it also has a symbolic one. The Jewish idea of the Messiah was that of a mighty temporal king. He was designated the Lion of the tribe of Judah, for it was from this tribe that all rulers came. The expression does not, of necessity, refer to Jesus of Nazareth, though the Christian Mason may so interpret the name if he desires. The Lion of the tribe of Judah also describes the Messiah of the Jewish Mason, or the mediator of some of the ancient religions of the East, whose worshippers are Masons. Freedom of choice as to the application of these symbols is one of the reasons for the growth of Freemasonry over the centuries. Hoo-yah!
There you go.
Wow.
Freedom of choice as to the application of the symbols.
Yeah,
Freedom of choice.
Freedom of choice. And one of the reasons why, get that last part there, one of the reasons for the growth of Freemasonry over the centuries is that application. Now, for Christians, if you're a Christian who holds to the scriptures, you know that the Lion of the tribe of Judah is, in fact, the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what we believe.
There you go.
And it's a prophetic utterance. Here goes the voice. It's a prophetic utterance of the coming of Messiah, and that's very unique, a very unique belief of the Christian faith.
Actually, it's the Jews who termed the coin the Lion of the tribe of Judah because
Right.
they thought the Messiah was going to be a warrior.
Right.
who was
They
gonna
were,
deliver.
and even in the days of ancient Palestine, when the Lord was walking the earth, they were constantly asking him, "Are you now going to restore Israel? Are you the one? Are you the conquering, military king who's going to, are you the new Joshua, the new Moses?" and his answer was always, "That's not why I came, man. That's not why I came. You've misinterpreted."
This is the split from Judaism to Christianity happens right here. This is it.
Yes, right. The split. Yeah, that's a good point. The split is over Messiah. Who's Messiah? Did he come? Has he come yet?
Because they're like, where is he? Where is he? And then Christians said, this is the Messiah.
Right.
We have our Messiah.
And
the Jews said, I don't think so. He didn't deliver us. That's what our Messiah is supposed to do.
Well, and they were offended because this particular Messiah came into their temple and insulted them about the way they were doing things, But he was a Jew at the time. He was a rabbi. Think about that.
Well, he was an insider. It's not like he came in as an outside third party. Like
his mother and stepfather. His mother and stepfather were from the tribe of they were from Bethlehem of the tribe of Judah, man.
Right. Yeah, I mean he grew up in this culture, was raised in the Jewish faith, and
absolutely
was preaching as a rabbi.
He was found. The story early on, and I think it's in the Gospel of Matthew, where he was, as a little boy, they'd gone up to the temple once a year. As a Jew, you had to go up to the temple when it was your time to offer the sacrifices, and then you come home. It was a big event. It was like Christmas on steroids for these folks. And they traveled there. Well, on the way home, they lost their child. They were like, where is Yeshua? He's gone. We don't know where he is. So they turned around and went all the way back, and they found him in the temple, sitting down with the head rabbis, arguing theology.
Nice.
And they were, and his mother asked him, why have you done this to us? He said, come on, Mom, you had to know that I had to be in the temple. His exact words were, I had to be in my Father's house. You know that, and she was just like, oh, right. The angel spoke to me before you were born. That's right. Got it.
This is the heart of Freemasonry. It's giving you multiple ways to interpret the same symbol that are true for all sides that look at it.
Right.
You can look at it as Solomon was. I mean, that was one of his, I guess, titles he had was the Lion.
It was. It absolutely was. Well, his father, David, this is the line.
He was a lion.
He was clearly a lion. But let me just say this. It's like you said. my faith is what I believe, and I know why I believe it. But the
and
beauty
this only
of it,
reaffirms it for you. You're like,
does.
yes.
Yeah, and you know, and I'll just say this: the Christian faith has not done a good job at this, and I find that
it's because
Christians
men are involved.
It's true.
It's not
it's
their
true.
fault,
and
not the core faith's fault.
And if you don't believe everything and stay away from everything else, you're in some sort of bizarre violation of all things holy. And it's just not true.
No.
It's just not true. The problem with the American Christian faith right now is the same problem with almost all organizations. Nobody knows what they believe and why they believe it. You ask the average Christian what they believe and why they believe it, and they cannot tell you. So therefore, stay away from the world. Everybody come into the church, close the doors, and don't let those people in who ask questions, because we don't have any answers. And that to me is unacceptable for any organization.
Yeah. I mean, this is a failing of us as people. We're jealous.
Yeah, that's right.
We're small-minded. But in reality, everything is constantly changing and an evolution, and we are no different. And you talked about a story of Jesus as a child going into the temple and arguing, not necessarily arguing, but probably discussing the tenets.
Absolutely
of
discussing.
that, right? Because it's a journey to get where you're going.
Right.
And those things have to happen. You can't not have the conversation to get to the point where you want to wind up. You have to do the work. And that includes challenging your ideas. And that will only cement your beliefs.
Yeah,
because you'll come to conclusions when you challenge those ideas for yourself if you're a critical thinker. And then you'll be more secure in your beliefs.
I totally agree. I meant argue in the true sense of the word.
Yeah.
Not a fight.
Right.
An argument is just a presentation of facts. That's what an argument is. He was probably presenting what he was given divinely.
What we're doing right here.
And
probably
what we're doing right here.
Discussion of how does that apply?
Right.
How does this make sense to me? And this kind of a discussion.
We're making cogent arguments, which are based in gentleness, respect, kindness, a desire to teach, a desire to learn. And I find, we're the reason why Chris and I are so excited about Freemasonry is because of, I think that's one of the main reasons, is we are able to discuss openly amongst brothers of differing opinions and backgrounds what we believe, why we believe it, for the sole purpose of unity and service
and making ourselves
and
better.
the making of ourselves better.
I don't say anything to you to change your mind.
Right.
I say something to you because you asked a question, or because I'm prefacing a question I have for you.
Yeah.
Because I want to improve myself. I want to get more knowledge. I want to get more information. And
that's right.
You're absolutely right. This is what I absolutely love. It's a safe place for thinkers, because out in the world, I own a business. I cannot talk about anything.
Right.
Because it's a landmine. Anything can lead to something that offends somebody or labels you in their mind. And I don't want that to happen in business or with my friends. So there's nowhere else that I get to exercise my critical thinking than when we have Masonic discussions within a lodge, because it's safe and okay to do it there, because we are on the same level of we love each other and we don't have bad feelings about each other. It really is about trying to understand and get to the light of my light and closer to my Creator. And we're both having that same experience.
That's right.
Even though we don't agree 100% on everything. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where learning comes from, is you don't really learn anything when you're surrounded by people who look like you and sound like you. You don't learn much. But when you're surrounded by people of different beliefs and opinions, it forces you. Being in Masonry has forced me to go back to my faith, go back to the things that I've learned and re-educate myself on them. And I'm stronger than ever in my faith. I'm stronger than ever.
That's awesome.
Ever in the things I believe. And the reason we started this podcast,
we really just wanted a place to talk.
We just wanted a place to talk and to grow.
And we needed a reason to do it. We needed to have a thing that made us do this on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah. And it's turned into this. It's turned into hundreds of people, 6,000 of you around the world who
boggles my mind.
Which boggles my mind. It's
I was at a degree last night, and I was shaking hands with a brother that I rarely see, and he said, "You're in my head all day, man." And I was like, "Oh, what? Okay." I didn't know if it was a good or a bad thing. And then it clicked. I'm like, "Oh, that's right. I have this podcast."
Right.
He's like listening to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
In his head and thinking about the stuff we're saying. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that's happening, because to me, I'm a small-minded person. I don't do this. I'm sitting to you, talking to you about things that matter to me.
Right.
Think about. But it happens, we release the podcast, and like you said, you get positive and negative feedback. And to the people that give negative feedback, we don't get a lot of it. Some of it is just arguing a viewpoint. And I think this section of the Mentor's Manual also speaks to that, because they're telling you right here, where was it? That these symbols, you're given the freedom to interpret them for yourself.
Right.
There isn't a definitive right answer to a lot of things in Freemasonry. And if you present yourself as having definitive right answers in Freemasonry, I want to use softer words, but the words that come to mind are "you're a fool." Because you should be sure of very little in life. You should be always questioning, always seeking more information and more light. The second we get overly confident that we know things and other people don't, and no one can get any information in us, our progress is stopped. So you have to kind of stay open to other people's interpretation of things to get more light for yourself. And this is a great example of that, because I know this part of this ritual often turns non-Christians off, because they also associate the Lion of the tribe of Judah with Jesus.
Right.
It's just a very commonly known thing to all of us in modern society.
It's a key tenet of the faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
It stands or falls.
It really
without
is the
it,
basis
there is
of
no Christian
Christianity.
faith.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a very important. And non-Christians, I have seen them get annoyed by this. Here in our district, I've talked to guys that are like, "I hate this part of the rituals, blah, blah, blah."
Right.
But it's like, brother, open your mind up. You don't have to assign that idea to this. Look, it's telling you, think about Solomon. Think about the leaders of the ancient East. Like, there's lots of other ways you can interpret this. Don't get fixated on the one thing that you don't want to interpret it as.
Or maybe go to a brother who does hold to that and sit down and talk with him and find out, what he does believe.
Right.
And formulate what you believe based on the truths that you hear.
Ooh.
That's just
it's right here.
What?
I'm going to reread it because it's exactly what you're saying.
Go.
Our minds must ever be open to the reception of truth from whatever source, and having once received it, to always act agreeably to its dictates. Hence, Masons everywhere are devoted to freedom of thought, of speech, and of action.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Woo!
Love it. That's a good one to end on, man, right there.
That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is... I could go on talking about this part forever.
Yeah.
But this is the core of, if you want to know what Freemasonry is about, there you go. It is. It's about us trying to get more light and trying to respect each other's viewpoints, but
learning how to do that.
Our own.
Right. And learning how to do it. How to disagree with a brother and remain in fellowship with him, without becoming offended. Like you said, there's brothers who don't want to hear about the Lion of the tribe of Judah, because it makes them mad. It's like, well, you're looking at it totally the wrong way.
Yeah.
Masonry wants to teach you how to sit down with that brother over coffee or even an adult beverage and understand it. You still may come away not agreeing with it, but you will understand it. What you're currently doing is the reason you don't want to hear it is because you don't understand it. And instead of taking the time to look into it and to be educated and to learn, you're just rejecting it and walking away from it. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you do that, man, big time.
It's one of two things. Either you're so insecure in your own beliefs that you can't hear anything else because you're afraid you're going to lose your faith, or there's something else going on here. I think the brother that said that to me, he is not the first case. He is a very smart person. I think it's that he had negative experiences with Christians.
Right, which
so
is
he's
very
assigning
common.
those negative experiences he had with Christians to
Right.
anything Christian, and again, you've just shut yourself off
Right.
to receiving light and progressing as a man.
Right. Yeah. And I think in my mind, the best thing I can do for the faith tradition that I hold to is be a good Mason.
Yeah.
So that maybe that
Yeah.
brother who had a bad experience, and believe
Yeah.
me, man, I've been in church for 35 years. I've had I could tell you some stories, bro. It is rough in there. But maybe I can be a positive example of what it looks like to be that man.
Absolutely.
And I know I shout out to our brother Wade Botkin, who holds to
Wade.
Buddhist beliefs. He's a great example of a man who holds to his faith, and
he's an enigma, man.
he is, and he just comes.
I can't wait to have him on this show.
I know, right? Yeah, that's gonna be good, especially with that accent of his.
He's from Florida.
I know,
but he's got that like South Carolina drawl.
Right?
kind of
I
a
love
thing.
that.
So Wade, by profession, is a psychologist. Yeah,
Yeah,
psychiatrist or psychologist.
I'm not sure how that works. I know
I'm not
he's a counselor.
Okay.
Of some professional accreditation. I'm not exactly sure if he's all the way up to a doctor, but he's really good at what he does for sure.
That's his profession. Like he dedicated some time of his life to studying the scientific, principles of people's behaviors and whatnot. But at the same time, he's also a pretty diehard spiritualist, and not cut off to the ideas of many aspects of spirituality and things that we don't understand and can't understand through science. So what a great example of a guy who just keeps asking questions of life.
Yeah. And
he didn't let science dictate everything, and he's not going to let his spirituality dictate everything. He's going to go through life questioning both.
Yeah, and he's a critical thinker because he knows what he's talking about. So the things that he espouses, are things that he's considered deeply. So, he speaks with a level of confidence. I love hearing him expound about his faith and his traditions and the way he looks at life. And that's, again, we're beating this to death a little bit, but that's what Masonry should be within the fellowship. We strive to figure out better and better ways to agree and work together. It's in there. That's part of our part of the things that we commit to. We're always looking for better ways to agree. We're always looking for better ways to educate each other, to hold each other up, to serve each other. It's just who we are. That's the craft. That's what it is. That's what it should be. And that's what you and I, Chris, are dedicating ourselves to through this podcast. That's 100%. What we want for the craft worldwide, is to get back to that place where when you as a master mason in England can walk into your lodge and there's 5 or 6 or 10 guys in there that beyond the shadow of a doubt are your brothers to the very end. They have your back 100%. And together you teach and learn and grow within this idea of Masonry that we have. And where are you going to find that, man? I keep going back to where in this world? You tell me. Write me right now in an email. Send it to me.
Right now.
Where are you going to find that for a men's fraternity that goes that deep into relationships, friendships, and education? You're not going to find it anywhere.
And here's the thing that I want to say. Fred talks a lot about his personal belief, his religion. He is not trying to convert you. Okay? He is trying to give you an example of a Mason and his viewpoints on Masonry and his faith. He isn't trying to convert you. I'm not trying to convert you either with anything I say. I'm also, neither one of us are saying that we know everything about what we're saying. What we're doing is giving you our two people's viewpoints on things that we're talking about and our limited understanding of the things that we're talking about. Or we're pontificating for the purposes of enhancing the discussion. So don't, for me personally, I am not an expert on anything. Don't try to follow what I say as the way. We want you to take the example of what we're doing here and then do the same in your life.
Yeah.
Just question things. We talked about religion a lot today because that's what the Master Mason degree kind of talks about. So that's
it
why
does.
we're doing it. But there is a societal aspect to this as well, like we talked about in the last episode with the ruffians. Yes, there's the spiritual side, but there's also the societal side. And we are men in a community and in a world. And you have to carry these ideals, yes, into your life, yes, into your philosophical, your religion, but also to your politics. So I definitely don't want to get into a political discussion. But on the subject of politics and Masonry, I'd say this. Hold your ideals of Masonry to every aspect of your life. Expect people to, especially leaders, to be of the same mind as you. Don't close yourself off to ideas. Be open to change. Be open to getting new information, and hold people to a standard of integrity.
Yeah.
Again, stop voting for people that clearly have no integrity. And I know that's hard because they don't give us any options of people other than people that have no damn integrity.
Right now, there are very few options.
But we got to somehow get to a point where we're putting people up for choice that have some integrity and the same kind of ideals that are going to advance our country and our society, which is togetherness and listening to people and including people, not identifying bad guys, identifying enemies, and writing people off for life, because that isn't how who best can work and best agree is who we should be electing.
Yeah, that's right.
Who best can work, who is capable, and who best can agree with the opposition, who can actually get things done.
Right.
That's what we should be looking for in our politicians, and I know we're not getting those choices right now. We all know that.
Yeah, we absolutely are not.
But we got to raise up a generation that understands that's what we demand in this country, is people that can work well and agree with each other and get things done.
Yeah,
make your kids learn these lessons so that they go into the world and maybe they can change it in their generation.
Yeah, and you said you don't want to have a political discussion, but actually in Masonry it's the same thing as a religious discussion. You can have any discussion you want as long as it's done with gentleness and respect.
100%.
100%. And with regard to politics, I'm completely open to learning new things. I am neither left nor right in my. There's no left. There's no L or R next to my name, because I'm simply going back to who can best benefit the community at large.
Right.
Because the government was designed, it's of the people and by the people for a reason. For the common good. It's supposed to be working for the common good. There shouldn't be all these factions and things within it. We've got if Masonry truly wants to affect change within the government structure, we've got a lot of work to do.
But
there,
we're
man.
called to, right?
And we're called
supposed to be.
We're absolutely called
men
to
in our communities. We're supposed to advance our society, our culture,
and
our species.
And we're required to hold men and women accountable to those standards. See, we let them get away with it because most of us are afraid of them, and they have all the guns and money, and we don't want to stand up to them because they could cause trouble for us. Well, guess what? We haven't stood up to them for that reason, and they're still causing trouble for us. So, at some point, men and women need to stand up and say, "No more
change.
No more. We need serious change here. We're bankrupt morally. We're bankrupt financially." We're bankrupt spiritually, and the leading force for good on this planet is now walking with a limp, and ready to stumble, man. And I believe.
Well, pay attention to what's happening in our country,
because
our fraternity could suffer the same fate if we're not very, very, very careful. And we seem to be more careful inside of the lodge, right? And we definitely behave better inside the lodge,
right?
But you need to take the training wheels off and go carry it into your life.
Yeah.
I met a brother last night. You know him. He's a great guy. And he just got back on Facebook. He's been off for 3 years because he said a bunch of political stuff and got removed and got mad and never went back on. But here's the thing. Say the political stuff. Say it if you got to say it. Just remember your Masonic teachings. Just do it from a place. Don't be hateful in what you have to say.
Right.
Say what you have to say. Stand by what you believe in. You should. You're called to do that. But that doesn't mean you name call, demonize, and other people aren't evil.
You're just
because they
falling
don't
into
understand
the trap.
you. They're not like
that's right.
They're not an enemy because they don't fully understand you. They don't understand you because you haven't been able to break through on a communication level. And you also have to be open to hearing what they have to say. And there's a level of tolerance and temperance that has to be present in order to do that. because society's training us to trigger and get mad and angry and not listen
Right.
and fight.
And it's always the same thing. It's create the two classes, the left and the right, and get them fighting with each other while those at the top continue to pilfer and steal our time and our lives from us. And it works every time. The Crown did it. The kings have done it. And throughout all of history, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And we, the people, have to stop doing that. I have learned so much from people. I would be more center right. Chris would be more center left.
Yeah.
And I have learned so much from him, just from talking with him about his perspectives, why he believes what he believes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's learned from me as well.
Absolutely.
Back and forth. And that's,
I always do when I have those conversations. And I have one other friend that's hard right.
Uh-huh.
And he views me as hard left. But
Right,
that's
right.
that's the way things are. But it's somebody I can at least talk to. And so it's funny because we will talk for hours about politics, and it can get loud and heated, but we both walk away going, you did a good job humanizing your position. And that allowed
Right.
me to hear more of what you had to say
Exactly.
because I see you as a person.
right.
And I'm open to hearing what you have to say when I see you as a person. But when we dehumanize each other, there's no conversation to be had, no
No.
progress to be made.
Right.
We're brothers of the same creator. You can call them something different, but yeah, we're living on the same planet, breathing the same air.
We're living in the
Drinking
same,
the same water.
country, state, county, city. We are countrymen. It
Yes.
does, and everyone
Yes.
you meet, even the ones who can't stand you because of what you believe, he's still your countryman. We have to get back to that before it's too late.
Please.
I think Masonry has a role to play in that.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It might be the last best chance we have at
I'm
turning
thinking
things
that more and more as I look on the landscape.
Religion is only now tying into the same thing as the politics. It's like it's getting hard to for religious people to talk to each other, just like different politics is. Like
Yeah.
we need a system like Masonry that takes us all together and looks at the bigger picture and says, "You're right.
Right.
You're right. You're right.
And
You guys
goes
aren't wrong. You're right. Now,
right.
what do we do together
on a
to fix the
civic
problem?"
level, right? How do we make this country, this land, this place a better place, apart from our disagreements? And there's no other forum out there for that, and social media makes it impossible.
Yeah.
But face-to-face relationships, talking with people, getting to know them, getting to know their families, that's what does it. And getting back to that, Masonry has a role to play that, because that's what we do. We are about face-to-face relationships, man. We come
100%.
together and we shake hands, we look each other in the eye, and we get to know people, their struggles, their triumphs, and that's what changes things, because we're forced to be within this fraternity, within this society of different people from different backgrounds, and it's wonderful. And I think we've beaten that one to death. But obviously, guys, you guys that are listening, you know how we feel about this. This is probably one of our strongest points.
Way.
I agree.
I think they probably do.
We get thumbs up on this one all the time.
Yeah. And, there's I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but may you live in interesting times.
Hey,
probably a curse more than a blessing.
Be careful what you ask for, because we are definitely living in interesting times.
Take a deep breath wherever you are and smell it, because you're living in interesting times.
That's right. That's right.
And the thing about living in interesting times is you have more opportunity to step up and lead and be a hero than in non-interesting times. And both in Masonry, I think Masonry, at least in Florida, it seems to me, is trying to get its house in order.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is a great, exciting thing to see, because once we get our house in order, we can then go out into the world again with pride and hold our heads up high.
Yeah, that's right.
And as an example, let's get out there. Let's show the world what Masons are really about once we take care of our house.
Yeah, that's right, man.
We're living in interesting times, all of us, and we get to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's right.
Engage in it. Do it. Be a leader.
I'm excited about the things that are coming up. We got a lot of things that are coming up. We can't really talk too much about them right now, but at Grand Lodge and after Grand Lodge, we'll start in season 2. We'll start talking more about the direction we want to go. And same idea. This podcast will always be about Masonry and what we love about it, and always trying to bring you guys, you listeners, into this conversation as much as we possibly can. And more than that, getting you listener to go back out to your lodge and to do something great. Go into your lodge. Next time you're at lodge, do something positive. Greet a brother. Mend a relationship. Whatever it is that you have to do to make your lodge experience better for yourself and for all those around you, go and do that this week, man. And then shoot us an email. Tell us what happened. Tell us how things went. We want to know.
Homework assignment.
That's a homework assignment for every Mason listening. Go
do something
shake
crazy.
Somebody's hand. Do something crazy, brah.
No, seriously, bring up an idea in your lodge that you've had that you didn't want to say. I had an idea in our lodge. We need to remodel this thing,
Yeah.
And everybody probably had the thought, but nobody said it.
Right. Take it on.
You got to just say it and watch what's going to happen when you say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your lodge is going to start to come to life. People are going to be like, "What? I know a guy that can do this. I know a guy that can do that." And then things start to happen. Bring some life into your lodge. Be the guy to do it. Say something crazy.
Yeah, right. Your worshipful master will be interested.
Actually, he will.
He will.
They all want to do something great in their year, and
That's
if they
right.
don't have something great, give them something great.
And if it's not that interesting, that's why he has a gavel. So go for it. Let it rip, bro. Let it rip, Tater Chip.
Okay, not that crazy.
You want to get crazy?
Masonic.
Let's get crazy.
Oh, I can't wait for that movie. That's another Batman reference.
But
But which Batman?
I'm not going to say. Here's what I.
Which Batman said that quote? Come on, everyone listening knows. Fred can get this right.
I'm on meds, so I can't. I can't.
Michael Keaton. That was Michael Keaton's Batman.
I'm sure it was, which was probably one of my favorite.
Mine too.
My favorite Batman. And the thing about Batman is, I had a conversation. I don't know where I was, but I had a conversation. Batman could be real. Superman, he can't be real. He can't be real. Superman is a fictitious character, but Batman, could be real.
Yeah.
Batman could happen. All right. Superman, not going to happen. Spider-Man, not happening. However, Batman could happen. And to me, that's why, of all the superheroes, he will always be my absolute favorite.
Have to agree.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
All right, listen, guys, we have, I've enjoyed my time once again, brother.
Me too.
Hanging out with you, talking about our favorite subject. I hope you guys have also enjoyed it. Send us your emails. Let us know what's going on at your lodge. Get out there. Do your homework, all right? Get out there. Shake somebody's hand. Do something that you've never done before within your lodge to affect positive change. And then shoot us an email. Tell us how it went. Tell us what you did. And
that's one of the other things we can do. We can be a receptacle of light. You can send us an email, and we'll say it. And everyone will hear your idea. We want to share what works. We want to share new ideas that people have that other people haven't heard. So send us that information too, and we'll share it with everybody on your behalf.
We definitely will. All right, my brother. Until next week, let's just keep building. Build it strong, man. Build it strong. Build it square.
I love it. Sounds good. We'll see you next time.